Welcome! In this video we're gonna be talking about how to deploy Laravel projects. There are a couple of tools to deploy Laravel, for example in Voyeur or Forge if you want to deploy to a server, or there is Vapor if you want to go serverless. But today I want to show you another tool which is a free tool called Deployer that can be used for Laravel deployments. This is a tool written in PHP. It's open source and it comes with plenty of pre-created recipes supporting many frameworks, including Laravel as well. So if you are curious, check out deployer.com for further information or to read the full documentation. For this tutorial, I'm going to assume that you are comfortable working with PHP and Composer, that you already have a server with Nginx, Git, PHP and Composer installed. If you don't have one, you can buy a cheap VPS from DigitalOcean, Linode, Hetzner. This tool will work with both of them. What we're gonna learn today is how to create our user for deployment, how to configure Nginx for our project, how to add deployer to our project, and we will deploy our project to the server. So about the project, it's a simple base install of Laravel 10. The domain we will use is deploying laravel.local. I already added that to my host file. It will point to my local server here that we will use for this demonstration. Let's dive in. First of all, we will go into the server and we create our user. We use disabled password here because we want to be able to log in to the server with a private key. And this way we will avoid typing in the password every time we want to deploy. Okay, we created our user. Let's make it possible to log in with the private key. For this, we need to create a folder .sh and to create a file. The file is called authorized keys. And here we add our public key. This is my local terminal. Just show the public key. You should add your public key in there. You never share your private key with anyone or put it on the server. So now, if everything goes well, we should be able to log in with our new deploy user to the server. Yes, it works. Great. Let's go and create the folder for our project. Deploying laravel.local. And we make sure that the owner of this folder is our deploy user. Otherwise, we won't be able to deploy it here. Here, see that our deploy user is the owner of this directory. And let's go in and create a logs folder. And we make the owner of the logs folder the data user. That's the user that runs our Nginx. Okay, here we go. Now we are going to configure the Nginx. So let's go to etc Nginx sites available, and we create file called deploying laravel.local.conf. Okay, good. I have a pre-created configuration here, so I will just copy this to our configuration file. Let's take a quick look in here. So we use HTTP. We set our root to the folder. The current directory and the public will be created by deployer. We set how the logs should be written. Our server name is deploying laravel.local, and here is the usual stuff. So we save this file. We will enable this site. So we go to the sites enabled. We create symbolic link from the available laravel.com. Here we are. Here is the symbolic link which lives in the sites enabled. Now we can check our configuration. Test is successful. This is good. Let's restart our Nginx. Okay. So before it was just this default logo in here, and if I refresh this, we should see something different. Yes, we see that we have not found. So our Nginx and our configuration works, but nothing is in there. So that's good. Let's go to our project and make the deployment happen. First things first, we install a deployer with Composer. We install it as a dev dependency because we don't need deployer on the server. We just use it for actually development and deployment. And we have a handy command in dep, and we initialize the deployment configuration. We want a PHP configuration. We want it for Laravel. This is our repository. That's correct. The project name is deploying Laravel. That's okay. Our host is deploying laravel.local. Okay, so now it created the deploy PHP for us. Here it is. Let's see what's in here. We require the pre-created Laravel configuration. If we go in there, we see there is a lot of tasks. For example, the migration, cache clear, and that stuff that need to be done when you deploy Laravel application. What I need to change here is that our user is not deployer, but it's called deploy. And the deploy path is /var /deploying laravel.local. Okay. So now everything is ready. Let's do the first deploy. And we do this with the dep command with the deploy argument. We have a warning that we don't have an env file. We will create it soon. But let's take a look at the server, what happened here. We see that we have a symlink here. The current links to the first release. It creates a releases directory and it keeps the predefined number of releases. I think the default value is 5, that you can configure that it keeps 10 or it keeps only 2. It keeps those old releases in here, and the current symlink points to the release what we see currently. And in the shared folder lives the env file and the storage. So basically those files and directories which should be kept between the releases. Let's create our env file. So we go to the shared and we copy the env.example here to an env file. Here's our env file. And now we need to generate the key. We do this by going to the current and we issue a command php artisan key generate. Now we have a key. What we want to do is run our deployment again, or we could do manually to symlink this env file to the current folder, but the deployer would do this for us. Let's do this. Okay, we have a problem here that we don't have a database because we didn't configure one and the migration failed. We could solve this by creating the database and the database connection, but for this example, we don't need a database, so we will just disable the migration. So the artisan migrate task should be disabled. And let's do this again. Now it should work, it should deploy, and we should see our application deployed. Well, let's see what's in the server. We see we already have 3 releases. And the current one is the number 3. And if we go to the current folder, we see that the storage is linked from the shared folder and the env file is linked from the shared folder. And if we go to the browser now, we see our project deploying Laravel with deployer is deployed. So that's good. Let's commit this. And let's see that if we change something, then with the next deployment, it will change. It's updated. Let's commit. We updated the welcome page. Yes. Push it up. And do the deployment again. Let's check our server. We are at the 4th release, and if we refresh, we see that our text is updated. So basically, that would be it, how to deploy Laravel application using deployer. If you have any comments or questions, please leave those in the comment section, and see you next time.